Hey you guys, Soseztheleadr here. I've come as promised to introduce to you one of the first of my excerpt readings from my Princess Luanne and Wizard Heatheria series. This one will be from the sequel series, Fellowship of Light Dragon Warriors. As you know, I gave you a heads up on in some videos that this story would be read first, and this is it. New Girls in Town, Return of the Dragon Warriors. This tells the origin. I'm going to read some excerpts of the book. I hope you like it. Now, let's begin. This is a good one. This will teach you how one of Heatheria's old enemies, who made her appearance in Seasons of the DeLorean Wizards. If you haven't read that, I suggest you go and read that. The link will be in the description for many of my books. This will teach you how a fairy named Hannah, who was banished to the world of purgatory, escapes and gets reincarnated by the Dark One known as Night Shroud. Crumpling to the floor on her knees, the young purple-haired girl, clad in a one-piece sundress torn at the left and with several holes within her long skirt, held her head within her palms as if it might burst, refusing to succumb to the endless laughter that echoed within her brain, as well as the blackness that now surrounded her, except for a small spotlight that shone down on her. "Why won't they leave me alone?" she demanded as she struggled to her feet. "I need to escape this torture." The girl, named Hannah, had been banished from the underworld and sentenced to this dimensional limbo due to her recent failure to destroy the gods of Earth, and it was all because of the woman named Luanne. She remembered all too well how the dark-haired princess and her blonde sister Heatheria had tricked her into revealing the entrance to the sanctuary of Excelsior, the only sword capable of destroying those who were immortal. In reality, Hannah was planning on using the power of the sword to exact revenge on the immortal who shunned her for a good witch in the Winchester family, only to be struck down by that same power and end up trapped in the underworld. But that was only the tip of the iceberg, because as soon as she returned, she was scolded by the evil being who called himself Night Shroud and banished to this limbo, to be tormented by the laughter of everyone she had tortured or killed, until he decided to release her. If not for sheer will and inner strength she kept bottled up all these years, she would have been driven mad in a matter of days. "That Night Shroud," Hannah declared as she finally stood on her own. "What is going on up in the surface world? Why has he not culled me out of this abyss yet?" Upon finishing her silent complaint, Hannah heard a faint voice, snarling indistinctly and causing her to look over her shoulder, calling loudly, "Who's there?" The voice came again, louder this time, and Hannah was able to make out one word: darkness. She felt cold at the mention of the word and began shivering. Throughout the laughter, Hannah heard the voice again, and it seemed to be even louder. Darkness. "Who are you?" Hannah wondered to herself. "Could you be Night Shroud?" But just then, a blanket of pure blackness suddenly shot from the left, enveloping Hannah and whisking her out of the spotlight, into the unknown. The next thing she knew, she was enveloped in a limbo of pure blackness, with no light anywhere. "Hey, what gives?" she wondered uneasily. Her heart quickened in panic as she demanded aloud, "Where am I?" Just then, a soft purple glow shone before her, which made her say, "Okay, this is not normal." But then she found herself thinking, but then again, neither is anything else I've gone through. Another moment passed, and Hannah was able to hear a deep voice behind the purple glow. "Greetings, Queen Hannah." Upon hearing her name spoken as such, Hannah glared at the glow and declared, "I am no longer a queen. I have been deposed." "Then permit me to reinstate your status," the deep voice responded, "and permit me to introduce myself." "Who are you?" Hannah demanded. "I am Night Shroud," the voice informed her, growing raspy with every syllable. "Master?" Hannah realized, and then fell on bended knee, genuflecting before the glow. Then her voice grew more concerned as she asked, "Are you all right?" "My powers have been considerably weakened because of the unity of the Fellowship of Light who existed 4 years ago," Night Shroud explained. "But now the Fellowship of Light has retired." "Then what do you wish from me, Master?" Hannah questioned. "You are the only one who has not abandoned your loyalty to me," Night Shroud told her. "I need your help." "What kind of help?" Hannah asked. "I will do anything to get out of here." "This is my command," Night Shroud explained. "You are to procure for me the charms of Armageddon. Those charms will allow whoever wears one to tap into their darkest essences, as well as help me regain my power. Once all 7 have been procured, only then will I be free of this wretched state. Only then will I be whole again." "How can I accomplish such a large task for you?" Hannah asked. "Because Heatheria destroyed my immortality, I cannot even traverse the limbo separating the underworld from the physical world." "Suppose I were to provide you with that ability once again," Night Shroud rasped. "Would you be interested?" On this, Hannah nodded and added, "I'd also ask, what else can you offer me?" "I shall offer you a new body, a new life, new lieutenants fit for an evil army, as well as all the shadow rates I can create for you," Night Shroud promised. "And," Hannah prompted, "that is all. All I ask in return is that you help me achieve my goal, to destroy this imperfect world and recreate it." "Give me my life back, and I shall fulfill your evil desires, my master," Hannah promised. "You shall have it," Night Shroud declared, and then his purple glow became a beam of light which hit Hannah in the chest and enveloped her within its glow. Within a few moments, Hannah felt her body mold and reshape its form. Upon sensing the change within her, Hannah relaxed and let Night Shroud work his magic upon her. After another moment or so, the glow faded and Hannah re-emerged, her image completely transformed. Now she had become a new being, with long dark hair styled in a pair of pigtails that tumbled past her waist and held in place but by small matching purple hair bands. Looking through her new purple-tinted sunglasses, Hannah's new main outfit consisted of a magenta-colored low-cut top shirt that revealed her shoulders and a short skirt of dark violet. She wore large gray leather knee-high boots over purple thigh-high socks. Large purple-tinted gossamer wings protruded from her back. She had become a dark fairy. "Behold, I rechristen thee, Mitzi, destroyer of worlds," Nitro declared, before opening up a pair of energy tubes before Mitzi's eyes as he continued, "And these shall be your sisters in darkness." As Mitzi watched, two silhouettes manifested before the columns of light before her. Within a moment, she could make out two other female beings as they emerged, and both were fairies, like her. One of the new dark fairies sported a magenta bob, whose front tresses caressed her cheek. She wore a matching magenta two-piece consisting of a tank top and low-cut slacks that barely reached past her knees. A short purple skirt cut at 3 spots in the front adorned her waist, while her feet sported red satin pumps. "Meet Dharma, the Tracker," Nitro told Misty. "Her powers can sense dark magic anywhere in the physical world." Mitzi's gaze shifted slightly to the right as she eyed the other new dark fairy. This one sported lavender hair pulled up into a ponytail. She wore a tiger print form-fitting top of lavender and blue stripes, and a pair of medium violet pants. Arm-length handless gloves adorned her wrists, while purple satin pumps adorned her feet. "And this is Sally, the warrior," Nitro continued. "Her fighting style makes her excellent as a last line of defense." Dharma and Sally genuflected before Mitzi, staying like that for a few moments, and then straightened themselves, approached their new partner, and stood on either side of her, with Dharma at Mitzi's left and Sally at her right. "From this day forth, the 3 of you shall be my dark fairy triad, the scourge of all that is good and pure," Nitro told the 3 fairies. A moment later, a bright purple-colored warp opened up above the threesome, and they all looked up to see the familiar green landscape of the planet called Earth. Just as Nitro commanded, "Now go. Procure for me the charms of Armageddon." As the faint purple glow that was Nitro dissipated, Mitzi promised, "I shall tear the earth asunder, and anyone who stands in the way of our cause, until you, my master, have had your powers restored." Upon that declaration, Mitzi joined hands with her new comrades, and all 3 of them fluttered their wings, heading toward the warp that would return them to Earth. "For the glory of darkness!" the Dark Fairy Triad all crowed in unison. So as you can see, my viewers, that basically is the origin of one of the main antagonists in my Fellowship of Light Dragon Warrior series. As you can see, Hannah had faced off against Princess Luanne and Heatheria Winchester in the previous book, Seasons of the DeLorean Wizards. As again, if you haven't gotten that book, I suggest you check it out. It's available on Amazon. I hope you enjoyed that excerpt. Now, on to another one. Hold on, everyone. I'm just looking for something I can read. Ah, here it is. This is after a new character comes to Melania, and basically meets the characters, meets other characters who will later become our heroes in this book series. In this one, you'll also meet a new character called Elise Masters. Now, she had graduated from London University along with Roxy Norrington, who is Luanne's cousin. Do me a favor, go check out the Super Sleuth 7, which is also available on Amazon. You'll learn about Roxy. Anyway, back to the readings. Reaching into a tree near their campsite, Elise picked a couple of peaches off the lowest branches and headed back to the campsite, where Chimera was now fully awake and sitting on a towel, which she refolded from a pillow into a cushion. Here, eat, Elise told the blue-haired girl as she handed her a peach. You'll need to keep your strength up. Chimera hesitated before accepting the fruit and saying, Thanks, Elise. So, let me ask you something, Chimera, Murda prompted as the blue-haired girl took a bite of the peach she was given. Where do you come from? What do you mean? Chimera asked, furrowing her brow. I mean, is there a place where you live, a house, or another building or something? Murda had clarified. Chimera sighed. Honestly, she admitted, I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? Roxy asked with a wrinkled nose. I mean, I don't know where I came from, Chimera told her pointedly. When I came here, I lost all traces of my memory. I only know the name that was given to me. Just as Galatea was about to form a reply, her gaze suddenly shifted to the horses approaching their position. Murda followed her gaze as Luanne dismounted the gold-colored horse, while a tall, thin man dismounted the brown horse alongside hers. Hey guys, Luanne greeted the group. You all okay? Yeah, we're okay, Elise responded. Then she glanced at Chimera and began, Chimera, this is another of our friends. This is Princess Luanne. Chimera suddenly regarded the dark-haired woman. How did you know? Murda asked with wide eyes as she stared at Chimera. That's another trace of my memory I still retain, Chimera responded. But I don't understand why I remember. Well, let's let Dr. Doran check you out at the back of the palace, Luanne proposed. Do you feel strong enough to walk? I think so, Chimera replied. Then let's go, Luanne said as she mounted her horse and watched Dr. Doran mounted his own. As the two trotted off, the 5 others followed on foot, with all of them heading back to the palace. After returning to the palace of Melania, Dr. Doran peered over Chimera, who lay in a medium-sized bed in one of the castle's guest rooms. As Chimera breathed in deeply and exhaled slowly, the doctor had his stethoscope, a metal microphone attached to a tube joined by a pair of metal pegs, which seemed to be inserted within his ears, pressed gently against Chimera's upper chest, and he was using this device to check her heartbeat. After a few moments, Dr. Doran removed his stethoscope from over Chimera's chest and said, Well, girls, as far as I can tell, Chimera's amnesia may be from emotional or psychological trauma, but other than that, she's only sustained a mild concussion. Thank the... Luanne sighed with relief as she murmured, Thank the Creator. However, Dr. Doran went on, it could develop some complications later. It's best if she rests for about a day or two. Chimera can stay with me, Luanne offered. And after she feels better, we'll try to help her remember anything familiar. Good, Dr. Doran said. I'll leave it in your hands, Luanne. He picked up the black pouch he had brought with him from the floor, gave a swift, small salute, and left for the exit. We should be heading home too, Elise suggested. I have to get in touch with my dad at home. I need to get home too, Roxy added. Archie's probably wondering where I am. All right, Luanne confirmed. I need to take care of some other things anyway. I'll stay here with you, Luanne, Murda offered. That way, Chimera can ask me for anything if you're not here. Thanks, Luanne replied. Well, see you tomorrow, cousin, Roxy said, and she and Elise turned and left the room, heading for the exit. On that note, Luanne checked the watch she wore on a chain around her neck. I didn't realize how late it was, she remarked. We should get to bed. Okay, Murda nodded and said. So, it seems Chimera has some amnesia, but can only remember a few things that were implanted in her mind. But where she comes from, we have yet to know. And now my next excerpt. This will show you how the new protagonists become the Dragon Warriors, and I'm going to read part of one chapter and maybe part of another chapter because it won't be complete without reading into another chapter. You'll learn how the Dragon Warriors receive their powers and ally themselves with the goddess of light known as Iris. Chimera screamed as she shot up from her pillow, waking up in a cold sweat with her breaths coming in short gasps as she felt her heart pounding in her chest. Chimera? Murda's voice rang out as a knock came from behind the closed door. Chimera, are you okay in there? Chimera forced herself out of bed, only to discover a sudden warmth around the area of her chest where her necklace charm dangled. She reached inside her nightgown and withdrew the odd gold charm she wore, of the onyx cross set in a gold diagonal square. Murda pushed open the door and walked in, only to be greeted by the warm glow emanating from Chimera's necklace, which caused her to exclaim, "What in the world?" before her that same glow enveloped her in a warm aura. Meanwhile, in her own room next door to Murda's, Galatea awoke from a sound sleep upon sensing the strong magic emanating close to her location. "Such power!" she exclaimed in her mind. "What is it?" She scrambled out of bed, rushed to the door, and flung it open, only to be met by Princess Luanne. "You felt it too?" Galatea prompted. "The strong magic in this palace?" Luanne guessed. "Yeah, I felt it." "But where in the palace is it coming from?" Galatea wondered. But then, a moment later, the twosome felt themselves enveloped in a warm yellow glow, and as both of them screamed, everything suddenly went black. Luanne forced her eyes open as she let out an inward groan of disorientation and wondered, "Well, who turned on the lights?" Then she blinked to clear the blur from her eyes. It took a while for her vision and focus to come back, but a moment later she discovered that her surroundings had changed, as she was now staring up at a high ceiling with a mural painting of 5 dragons of all shapes and colors, frozen in a flying circle formation. "What?" she wondered as she struggled to her feet and checked her new surroundings. She seemed to be in a spacious hall with several high windows at all 4 walls and marked by stained glass artwork of multicolored dragons, who seemed to resemble the ones in the ceiling mural. But then she discovered that she was not alone in this new room, as 5 others, Murda, Galatea, Elise, Roxy, and Chimera, were also lying on the floor, groaning in disorientation as they struggled to their own feet. "Guys!" Luanne called as she ran toward them. As she helped Murda up, she asked everyone, "Are you all okay?" "We're fine, Princess, if you call suddenly getting thrown out of your bed and the only creator knows we're fine," Elise quipped. "I'm still here," Roxy told her cousin as she staggered on her feet. "I'm just a little woozy, that's all." "I'm still in one piece too," Galatea responded. "Chimera, are you alright?" "Yeah, I think so," Chimera told her weakly as she blinked to dissolve the spots from her eyes. "Did anyone get an ID on that portal?" "No, but I found something just as interesting," Roxy said, pointing toward an odd pedestal surrounded by 5 statues of huge dragons, all shapes and sizes, and positioned like 5 points on a star. "What kind of apparatus is that?" Elise wondered as she followed the others toward the center of the shrine where the pedestal stood. "Don't know," Murda replied, "but something tells me it's important." As she reached out toward the pedestal, it began to glow a warm yellow. "Okay, now what's going on?" Luanne wondered, before she felt that same warm glow envelop her, and a moment later, everything went black again. "Luanne!" Roxy exclaimed, and the others turned upon hearing her scream. The other 4 girls had realized that Luanne had seemingly passed out. "What happened?" Elise wondered. "Is Luanne okay?" Chimera added. Just then, Luanne reopened her eyes, but to Roxy's surprise, they were glowing yellow, as if they had glazed over. Then she began to speak again, but it was not her own voice. "At last, the chosen ones have revealed themselves," the new voice praised, talking with a more adult voice that was partly young and partly old at the same time. Luanne?" Galatea prompted hesitantly. "Can you hear me?" "Do not despair," the voice went on. "Your friend is unhurt. I needed to borrow her body in order to communicate with you." "Borrow her body?" Roxy wondered. "Okay, I've heard a lot about